we're probably just as active as those hippies back in the 60s protesting Nixon and protesting
the LSD.
Johnson, all this shit.
Oh, the LSD.
I mean, our freaking generation takes just as many drugs.
No, well, we take caffeine. That's basically what we need.
Exactly, bro. Starbucks is everywhere.
Dunkin'.
Bro, literally, you got munchkins today.
Bro, there's 3 Dunkins on Middle Spring Avenue.
Literally.
From Mr. Broke Productions, in an association with Maximillionaire and Vice City Kingpin, present to you Life on Easy Mode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Miguel's back.
Hello.
Hey, Miguel, how you doing?
COVID-free, COVID immunity.
You never had COVID.
Yeah.
He's basically the cure in I Am Legend, and then
Dude, you've had 3 instances where you were supposedly exposed to COVID, but you just
tested
never
negative
got it.
4 times, bro.
4 times?
4 times.
Oh, shit.
Bro, you beat the amount of times Trump's been impeached. How do you
Bro.
feel?
I feel great.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Life on Easy Mode podcast. We have the full squad here today.
Hello.
And it's a good thing because, boy, do we have a lot to talk about
Yeah,
today.
I missed the podcast on the Capitol raid, and I was very, very sad, very disappointed. I couldn't speak my mind on
Yes,
that.
me and Nicky were all so sad. We were so sad that you weren't here to voice your opinion.
Yes, because we all live for your opinion. I mean, you are the voice of reason for this podcast,
Yeah.
so it was a shit show last week. But we did good. We did our best.
I didn't think it was a shit show.
No, it was
a
fine.
shit show of what happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Comparing us to what happened at the Capitol raid, we were like the Joe Rogan podcast. But that's besides the point. We have a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. We have Trump's second impeachment we're talking about, a new bill being introduced to Congress, and a new Nicolas Cage movie, which I think
we could also talk about movies at the end when we talk about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Good things about that.
But I do want to mention that movie because
there's also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm really. I feel like
Willy,
it is
Wonderland.
important and it is imperative we talk about the new Nicolas Cage movie that's coming out.
Yes.
There's also some controversy about the DCEU and their one of the directors as well, so you can talk about that.
I don't know much about that.
I do a little bit. He knows a little bit more about that than me because fuck the DCEU. But that's besides the point. Oh, the caw, the birds are awake. Caw. Oh my
All right.
goodness. All right, guys.
First
All right.
topic.
So you are 18, correct?
Huh?
Okay.
What? All right.
So Trump's impeachment.
The second time.
I don't think that was surprising.
I don't think it was surprising either.
No. I don't.
Personally, here's my thing. Guaranteed, if it was a Democrat president doing this, the Republicans would definitely try to impeach him. Yes, they would.
Depending on what, like, if I can't speak today. Democratic president did the same things as Trump, or if he was
just this Capitol raid.
Oh, like
they
would try to blame him for inciting that Capitol raid. Yeah,
but
probably.
what if he didn't though? Or you're saying that he
like if Trump was a Democrat, the Republicans would try to impeach him.
Right, but they probably wouldn't go for it because especially now standing, Congress is mostly Democratic now.
It's also I think
no, I'm just saying in another world, like if it was a Democrat president,
I know what you're saying, but
in an alternate
usually,
reality.
especially in the DC area, usually Democrats are more favored. Usually, so they could probably.
We drove around there. We could tell.
Yeah, but I do think it wasn't surprising, but I just think it was unnecessary. I think it was a waste of time because they're just wasting our tax dollars just to get rid of someone who's literally going to be out of office in 4 days. Literally in 4 days. It's the 16th right now. The inauguration is on the 20th. And they wanted to hold the trial for Trump's second impeachment on the 19th.
No, but the whole point for them to impeach him is not to get him out of... Well, originally, yes, but now it's too late. But now their primary goal is to keep him from running for another office.
Okay, yeah, I get that. But, like, with all, like, the stuff that, like, has been coming out about Trump, with all the people rioting, protesting against Trump, do you really think he would win if he ran again? I mean, give it 4 years. Maybe if people start getting sick of Biden within these 4 years, maybe if he did run again, he could get a lot of votes. But just with all the stuff,
I mean, personally,
that's happened, do you think they're going to vote for Trump again if he does run for office? Because by then, a lot of people our age are going to have the right to vote, and a lot of people our age are more left-leaning than right.
So I still see people on Snapchat that are Trump supporters, even after what happened about the raids, and they're being like, well, they're being bitches. They'd be like, oh, anatomy if you think it's unnecessary. And like, there was a girl who posted about like a Trump flag. I didn't even know they made these. Woman for Trump. It was basically that flag, and I go, oh, interesting.
That's been around since you ran in 2015.
They've made signs.
It was a joke. So
Again.
anyways, it flew over everyone's head. But I believe that people will still vote for the Humpty Dumpty. But I also want to talk about this. So I think we should make a prediction. And the prediction I'm about to talk about, so it is January 16th. By the time this comes out, this will be hopefully right before the election. I want this because the election will be when?
2024. 2023.
Wednesday.
No, it's
Wednesday.
The 20th. Yeah, so
Today-
it's
Are you
gonna be
talking about
Wednesday.
the inauguration?
I said
inauguration,
election.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Inauguration will be Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to
So-
have this out by Tuesday. So,
so-
I mean, I have Monday off because it's Martin Luther King Day, so
The
I'll spend that day
FBI
editing.
thinks that, and they have sources in all 50 states that there are supposedly going to be riots in each state of in each capital's state. So I think we should put a prediction here. Now, if we are correct with this prediction, the FBI is going to be knocking on our door right now and be like, hold on a second. So
whizzes.
as people are listening to this, the inauguration is happening, like, wait a minute, they're saying exactly what's happening right
We should
now.
just premiere this live on the 20th when the election happens, and as we're predicting it, it's just happening.
Wait, what time is it going to happen?
12 p.m.
Okay, well, 9 o'clock, Eastern? 12 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll do it, we'll upload it like our usual 9 a.m. So,
Do you want me to upload it on Wednesday then?
nah, just do it Tuesday.
Okay,
Do it
all
Tuesday. I think that people are going to riot.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
That's why they have fences and gates and like 25,000 military National Guard over there right now.
And a lot of people are very skeptical. Like
I am too.
it's so, people are very upset. I understand. I don't understand, but I understand. I guess you lose and you're upset. I lost best hair. We don't talk about that. So like we get upset about things, but there is no need after how many times of telling you people that it's over. Even Trump, he didn't say the words concede, but he basically said I concede and it's going to Biden.
Right, because he admitted there'd be a new
Yes.
administration in office.
But people are still willing to do this, and we talked about this in the last podcast. Like it's okay to voice your opinion. You have the freedom of speech. You do not whatever you want, but you say in the matter of, in a healthy way, in a very, safe environment. You don't go storming, the Capitol, or you don't storm your own state's capital, and that's supposedly what's going to happen. Like that's not going to do anything.
I just don't understand why they're willing to overthrow democracy just for a man who's going to die in like 5-6 years.
Okay, well.
I agree.
Now, we don't know this.
No, I'm not about the dying thing. I'm just saying about like people want to overthrow.
Like
the government.
I don't think a president should have that much loyalty, because this is what happens when someone
It's
has
basically
that much power.
looking like a
well, not that much power, but that much like
influence.
yes.
It's basically looking straight like a cult. Like this is literally like not even joking, like cult shit. Like
Again,
people, it's scary.
Not all Trump supporters are like this. Just like with any major group
It's
of
just
individuals, it's always those bad apples that make the whole rest look bad.
Now,
Just like police, when
But here's the
police
thing.
officers do bad things, the majority of cops are good. But then
I don't think now
when they
I
do
don't
bad
think-
stuff, it makes cops look bad.
Yeah, I don't think obviously I don't think all cops are bad. I think there are good cops, there are bad cops, there are dumbass cops. But most of them are pretty downright stupid and for themselves. But it also so basically, like, if people are really gonna do this and storm each of their states, I don't know if it's gonna happen in all states, but apparently the FBI said be on the lookout because we have sources saying that it can, will, and might happen. So I don't know if it is. I believe it's going to happen at the inauguration. I believe there's going to be people with signs with big
no,
fence.
it's not. It's not going to happen because they have tight security at the.
I believe there's going to be
Outside of that, there's definitely gonna be protests.
no
in
the
DC,
protest. That's
though.
what I meant. At least the very least a protest.
They're not,
I think there's
I know they've been ordered to use lethal force.
Yeah.
So if Trump supporters are brave, then go ahead.
Well, I mean, they were brave for the Capitol, but
yeah,
we
but here's the
discussed
thing:
it.
at the Capitol there wasn't 25,000 military soldiers.
That is true. Yeah, because that kind of just happened like out of nowhere. It took a while for them to get all the National Guard units in. On Inauguration Day, there's going to be a lot of people out in general because if what the FBI is saying is true, if their sources are
Which I do
credible,
believe them.
that there's going to be a lot of people out there protesting, potentially rioting. There's also going to be a lot of people out there celebrating. Because remember when Joe Biden got elected, there was celebrations all throughout the U.S.
Return of the Jedi.
Right. There's going to be celebrations when he gets inaugurated. And unfortunately, in a lot of these major cities, if there's protesters and there's people celebrating the inauguration of Joe Biden, there's going to be clashes and there's going to be violence.
Have people celebrated another president's inauguration at their own state building?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
what do you
sure.
mean by celebrate?
Like
in New York City.
like if you can't go to DC, then you celebrate here at the state house.
I mean, I don't remember.
I don't
I don't remember in
but-
2016 where people were outside Rhode Island's Capitol, like woohoo.
That is a good point, but maybe there will be people out celebrating this year because maybe they want to counter the people who are protesting. Because a lot of times when there's like people protesting something relating to government, there will be counter protesters who are in support of whatever those people are protesting. That happens a lot of the time. So maybe there will be a lot of people who are in support of Joe Biden who know that there's going to be protests at their city or whatever, and they're going to go and counter that with pro-Joe Biden parties, I guess you could say.
They can't,
that does happen sometimes.
well, I understand their right to protest, but they've been fighting this for, 2 months now?
Well, I mean, the left has been fighting the whole middling of the
Yeah, that
2016
is-
election for 4 years.
But it wasn't like this. They didn't storm the
No, I know, but
Capitol.
like I'm just saying, like timeline-wise, it's been milked out a lot longer.
It's just it boggles me because like I even said this in the last podcast. Did you listen?
I listened to some
So
of it.
like it's so stupid. It's okay to protest. It's okay to voice your opinion. It's not okay to riot. It's not okay to like destroy, vandalize. And for the people who are saying, oh, it's basically the same thing as Black Lives Matter, it really isn't, because people who are claiming that riots were from black people or like for Black Lives Matter, they weren't. Those riots were people using it as an excuse. And it's kind of the same thing here, but I mean, at least like most of the people that were at the Capitol were arrested. I know that for a fact.
Oh yeah, like the guy who stole the totem pole.
Basically, all the people with were on Facebook, like the images, like everyone who was on the
if
image.
you showed your face on Facebook
You-
while
you
you
were
were there,
I
arrested.
saw the thing. Maybe if you wore a mask, it'd be harder to identify.
So I tweeted like,
Like,
you know what? Maybe all those stormers, if they actually wore their masks, they wouldn't be in jail right now.
like
Like it's not like
or like it would take in more time.
for conspiracy theorists, wouldn't you care if you're getting like facial recognized or some shit? Like,
right.
conspiracy theorists after the Capitol, their stocks went down. They were
Bruh.
like, well, damn.
Illuminati went.
Like you just played yourself is basically
Right.
what you did.
my
Like, oh yeah, I don't like being facial recognized, and then you go out to the probably the most like surveillanced area in the United States, and like, oh yeah, let's break
Pentagon and Area 51, but yes.
in. Yeah, the DC too.
I mean, with Area 51, they have guys where if you reach a certain point, they will shoot and kill you.
Yes,
So-
and I remember.
And apparently, it's not like that for the Capitol, but I think they should be. I think I said this last podcast. Listen, natural selection. If you think it's a good idea to storm a federally armed building, you get what's coming to you. And we saw a perfect example of that of Ashley Babbitt, who unfortunately was killed. But again, if you do something stupid like that, you get whatever's coming to you.
I hate seeing the video, but what I see is like her the police is like don't, and then she like jumps in, and then that's when he shoots her.
So that I don't think that cop
Now, I
should get in
want-
trouble because he was just doing his job. He was protecting the building.
Now,
Sorry.
I want to ask you because we talk about this. Do you think it's people are like saying like, oh, say her name. That's what people did with like Black Lives Matter. Do you think it's should be anyway
No.
the same thing?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Because here's the difference. Like she was doing something illegal.
Yeah.
Some of the other people that say her name are just like walking down the street, or Breonna Taylor that was like sleeping in her bed or in her apartment.
Right.
So like she I hate to say this, but she was doing something that she shouldn't have done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So and I think we came to that conclusion.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
We agreed
it's
with that.
It's just utter. I mean, it's terrible that people shouldn't die for any reason, unless you're doing that. But it's still people shouldn't be killing left and right. But it's for what she did. It shouldn't have happened. But she did it. So we're talking about Trump's inauguration. So
Trump's
yeah,
inauguration?
Biden.
We were talking about Trump's second impeachment.
Impeachment. They both start with I's. Okay, listen.
I mean, true.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Trump's second election.
all right, so I'll ask this then. Do you think this was necessary? Do you think this needs to be done? Trump's second impeachment? Like considering the time right before the inauguration,
So-
do you think that they should keep going
So
with this?
on the basis of getting him out of office as soon as possible, no.
Yeah,
but
it's complete stupid.
on the basis of barring him from running for anything else. I personally think so, but I'm biased just because I don't like him.
Right.
And I don't think he deserves another office, especially since how he's done. So
So do you think like? So that makes me think the question: do you think in 4 years he will try to run again?
Oh, God. Oh, 100%.
Either him or his children.
He even said it in I don't know if it was a tweet or a video, but like he said like.
Because he says a lot of things and doesn't go through with
Yeah,
everything.
but he also said like this is just the beginning. So
but,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
part of me feels like he's just saying that just so that his supporters
Donald
are like,
Trump Jr.
Or maybe he knows something that we don't. Maybe one of his children, like you said, may try to run.
I
one
know
day.
Ivanka wants to.
If
run
Ivanka
for,
runs, I'll vote.
Shut up, bro. You just want her to make
bro,
OnlyFans, dog.
Bro, she's not even a politician.
I know.
No, I'm not saying there should be a law, but I definitely think there should be some kind of requirement where you have to have some kind of political background to
Yes.
run for president.
But
I don't have a problem with celebrities running for.
Dwayne.
But you have to be
Congress.
elected for like you can't your political experience can't be your dad appointing you to a White House.
No. But like when it comes to running for the presidential
Mm-hmm.
office, I feel like you could have some kind of political background. I don't have a problem with celebrities running for governor or maybe
that's
mayor of a
different,
city.
'cause that's
Yeah,
not,
because
that's not running the whole country.
Right.
That's running.
And-
you have to start somewhere. But
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't start with a presidency.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you wanted to run for president, if you're like an actor or a businessman, I think run for governor or mayor of a major city first, then run for president, because at least you'll get an idea of how the government works. And hopefully, if within those 2 terms or 1 term, whatever you serve, hopefully you don't get too corrupt and just do it for the money.
Just
Because our government, again,
It's very weird.
our democracy compared to other countries is probably as best as it gets. It's very good compared to like China, Russia, North Korea. You can't deny that for a fact. I know America has its problems, but when it comes to types of government, we have one of the better ones in the world. But naturally, it's fucked because we have things called lobbyists. These big corporations and businesses and billionaires who pay these politicians to get their deeds done. We need to get rid of lobbyists. But hey, I'm just a 20-year-old from Rhode Island hanging with his 2 buddies. What do I know?
Did you
I
just
just-
put out a hit list for the lobbyists? You're like,
No, I'm
we
not
need
putting
to
out a
get rid
hit
of
list.
them.
I'm not putting out a hit list. I'm starting a
I just
revolution.
think we need a
$20,000
whole new
each.
set of
What?
Congress. Like we can't have
agree.
we can't have people who ran the country, the same people who ran the country in the 1980s running the country now.
Because it's
Yeah.
a different country now.
yes,
It's
There's-
a different world. I mean, people are saying like we're the generation. I do believe this to be true. Like our generation, Gen Zs, and maybe even the generation
before us.
next.
Oh.
No, the after us. Like I feel like if we don't do something, we're gonna be fucked.
We just
So-
gotta stop electing like old people. Well, as much as it sucks, we gotta stop electing all the people that have been in power for too long.
I think there should be an age limit because like if like people like who are 80 years old like telling not saying telling us how to live our
but
our
like
lives,
making decisions for the
making
whole
our
country.
decisions for our 20-30-year-old selves who are like trying to do better for this world. And like I said before, like I do believe like a lot of people say this, a lot of celebrities say this, and I do believe this is true. Like our generation and maybe even the generation after us, if we don't do something and change something, then the world's gonna be fucked. Because
Right.
like that's what's gonna happen. Like if in 50 years, if we don't do anything, we're gonna be screwed.
I agree. Yeah. And listen, with how active our generation, Gen Z, is, a lot of these protests, you see people 16, 17, 18 years old holding up signs. They're going to do something. They're going to be active. A lot of these kids are going to go to law school,
Which is
going to
good.
become either lawyers or something, or either way, one day they're going to enter a political office and try to get something done. So just saying, with how active our generation is, I definitely think that's a possibility.
think
And
that-
will they save us? What
Do you
were
think?
gonna ask?
Well, do you think our generation is one of the most active it's been in
No.
years?
For in what politics?
I'm not just politics, but like everything that's been going on with the world.
Oh,
Like, do you think?
100%. I don't see old people.
We can be comparable to the people who were protesting in Vietnam.
Okay,
Those
I was
were
gonna say that.
that was like that
60s,
Vietnam
70s.
mainly primarily in like the mid to late 60s. That's when and early 70s. That's when a lot of the protests were, and a lot of them were younger people like us. So a lot of them were, I guess you could say,
On
boomers
LSD.
because they were born in like after World War II. They were born in the 40s, somewhere around there. So we're probably just as active as those hippies back in the 60s protesting Nixon and protesting
the LSD.
Johnson, all this shit.
Oh, the LSD.
I mean, our freaking generation takes just as many drugs.
No, well, we take caffeine. That's basically what we need.
Exactly, bro. Starbucks is everywhere.
Dunkin'.
Bro, literally, you got munchkins today.
Bro, there's 3 Dunkins on Middle Spring Avenue.
Literally.
Nah, probably more.
You just doxed us.
When we were talking about what was it, governors and like celebrities running for governors, I was just thinking about Schwarzenegger in The Simpsons.
That's what
I was thinking about Schwarzenegger's in The Simpsons movie. He goes, "I was elected to lead, not to read."
Number 3. No, did you guys see his video he put out regarding? That was a really powerful video.
Yes.
For those who don't saw it, he just talked about how he grew up after World War II. Because don't forget, he's from Austria, he said he grew up around older people drinking away their sorrows about being a part of like one of the most evil regimes, if not the evilest regime in history.
One of the most.
It's arguably the evilest. Now again, I'm not saying if I 100% agree with this, but I do think he sent a really powerful message. He was comparing how the way Trump was acting to like a dictatorship, how he was trying to protest the results of the election, and trying to basically overthrow the government. But then he also did something really cool, and I really like this analogy he used. He brought up the sword from Conan, from the actual 80s movie, and he said, this sword is our government. The more you beat and hammer down, the more you beat the crap out of a sword, the more you hammer it down, the more you put it through its hell, the stronger it gets. And that's our democracy. And I think that's true. The more we get beaten down, the more hell we go through, not just with our democracy, but people in general. It makes us stronger because we learn from that. We write it in our history books, and we try our best not to let it happen again because we learn from it. And I think that was a really good analogy, 100%. He brought out the actual sword, too, from the Conan movie, which, by the way, it's a really badass sword. I kind of want that, bro. Miguel, you were talking earlier how you want to invest in a sword. Invest in that one.
Just hit up Schwarzenegger. Just hit up Schwarzenegger. Adios, comia.
I was taught to read.
I was elected to lead, not to read.
Number 3. Now, should we move on to our next topic?
Yes. What do we want to talk about?
All right, so this one, if I may have the floor for a minute, I want to talk about
No, you can have the kitchen table.
Okay, so this is the floor, basically. So, I want to talk about a bill that is being introduced. It was only introduced in Congress. It hasn't gone through, hasn't passed the House, hasn't passed the Senate, nothing. It's only been introduced in Congress. Now, this is something that I want to talk about because I'm very passionate about. Now, normally in this podcast, I like to be very tame. I like to be very understanding with a lot of views. As someone who has more conservative views and who did vote for Trump, I can understand 100% where Miguel's coming from as to why he doesn't like him and, why and how Gian said this second impeachment wasn't surprising. When it comes to your political views, I can understand because I am a very open-minded person. But one thing that I will not step down to is gun rights. The right to the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. I absolutely despise, with a burning passion, gun control. This is one thing that, I'm sorry guys, if you would ever debate me, you would not win. Now, I don't know everything about guns, but I know 100% for a fact that every citizen, no matter what color you are, what you identify as, should have the right to bear arms. Because I think that is single-handedly the most important constitutional right next to the First Amendment. So, with that, a bill called H.R. 127 has been introduced into the House of Representatives by U.S. Representative Shyla Jackson Lee. She's a Democrat from the 18th District of Texas. And in this bill, it says to provide for the licensing of firearm and ammunition possession and the registration of firearms and to prohibit the possession of certain ammunition. Now, at first glance, that doesn't seem too bad. Okay, register for a firearm, get a license to own a firearm. Sure, licensing exists already. You have FFLs, you have blue cards in Rhode Island. So what's the problem with this? Well, see, the difference between licensing just to own a gun and the difference between an FFL is the FFL isn't a license just to buy a gun. That's a license to carry a gun federally because it's a federal firearms license. What they want to do is they want you to license a gun just to buy it. And the reason why I have a problem with that is because anytime it comes to licensing or getting some kind of registration to own a gun, they make it so freaking difficult to get it that it's basically obsolete. Like they introduce taxes, they introduce all these fees, they introduce these process that takes months to get done. And when it comes to fees specifically, that's going to affect the lower income families, people who live in rather poverty-stricken areas where the crime rate is high. So when you want to purchase a gun, and along top of purchasing a gun, you gotta pay some kind of $600 fee. They're not going to be able to afford that. These people are literally living paycheck to paycheck. So why do you think they're going to want to pay a fee just to own a license to a gun? As it stands right now, for the most part in America, when it comes to buying a gun, all you have to do is go into a gun store if you're 18, say, hello, I'd like to purchase a firearm, okay? anytime you purchase a firearm, you have to fill out a background check. And so what that background check will do is it will go to the FBI and it'll go to your local police department, whatever city you reside in. And with each state, it's different. Like, for example, in Kentucky, where my friend Jacob lives, shout out Jacob. I told you I would shout you out. I wanted me to shout him out.
Oh my god.
No, he said, Nicky, shout me out in your podcast. Well, here you are, Jacob. Shout out to Jacob. Because just like me, he is big into the Second Amendment and he's big into guns as well. The way it works in Kentucky, if you fill out a background check, it takes like 10 minutes at the gun shop. And right then there, that day, you can buy a gun. Whereas Rhode Island, it takes at least a week. Because the FBI, they're really quick with it. They take like, when it comes to like passing your background check federally, it's like that. But when it comes to local police department, for some reason in Rhode Island, it takes at least a week. So that's one way they do it. But that's just the normal process of buying a gun. You just got to fill out a background check, and if you pass it, that's fine. But now they want to actually make you have a license to buy a gun. And again, the reason why I have a problem with that is because they're going to make it so fucking difficult that it's going to be obsolete just to own a gun. They're going to make it so hard to get one that you're just going to say, you know what, I don't need to go through this bullshit. I'll just do other things. So that's with the licensing. Now with the registration, I have a problem with this as well, because the reason why I truly believe this, that they want to have you register your guns via serial number or whatever, is because they want to register your weapons so they can have your information. So when it's time to confiscate your guns, they have your information right there. And you can't even hide your weapons, because if you refuse to give up your guns when they decide, okay, we need to start banning these assault weapons, we need to start banning shotguns, whatever, they have your information right there. And if you don't abide, you go right to jail. And with that, what I think they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, listen, we want to instill this licensing fee. We want to ensure this registration because we want to protect the citizens and we want to make sure that criminals don't obtain a weapon. That's not going to affect a criminal. I've said this before. Criminals get their guns off the market. They don't go through licensing. They don't go through background checks. They buy it off the black market. They buy it off the streets. Some of them buy the parts from the black market and make the weapons themselves. So even if this were to be instilled, this isn't going to affect the criminals. So what you're doing with then is you're only going to take away the guns from the good, law-abiding citizens, and you're giving more leeway to criminals who already have guns. And if they know that this passes, they're going to feel more comfortable robbing a convenience store, robbing a bank, breaking and entering into a home.
Stealing from Stop and Shop.
Exactly. No, it's true. And it's just going to get scary out there. And what I think they're going to do with this licensing and registration fee, more specifically the registration fee, they're going to instill this. They're going to say, this is just to make sure we know who owns a weapon. What they're going to do, again, now this could just be any politician, but it's mostly more the Democrats because they're more for gun control. They're going to wait, unfortunately, for some major tragedy to happen. They're going to instill this registration law if it gets passed. They're going to wait for some major gun tragedy to happen, like a mass shooting or some major shooting at a mall. And they're going to say, that's it. We need to start taking away these guns. And since now Congress is mostly Democrat, they're more leaning towards gun control. So if they decide to do that, it's going to be easier for them to say, okay, we are now banning assault weapons. We are now banning shotguns. And it's going to be a lot easier for them to obtain them from you because since you register your gun, they have your information.
Are you done? Okay, I want to say a few things.
Open for discussion now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good.
Right,
Okay,
take the floor. You go first.
So, I agree and also disagree with that. I do believe that people should have the right if they wanted to own a gun.
I also agree with that.
But I believe that two things, and I hope you agree with me. If not, I'm gonna have to beat you. I'm kidding. I believe that if you have mental background, mental problems, you shouldn't own.
Me and Nicky talked about this before.
I agree, but here's where the question lies. How do you figure out if someone is mentally ill or not?
No, we'll talk about that after.
I mean, you can.
No, your second question.
Okay, so I'm okay with people owning a pistol. I'm okay with people owning a hunting rifle. I don't believe people should be owning an AK-47 with an extended mag and a laser sight. I don't believe anyone should be owning that.
Yeah, this is
unless you are a military personnel and you need that.
Let me debate you with this right here, right now.
We're gonna fight.
No, we're not gonna fight. We're gonna have a discussion because this is what we do best. Do you know of a drug called adrenaline?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really a drug.
Trust me, it acts like a drug. Adrenaline kicks in, bro. I promise you, that acts like a drug.
I have adrenaline every day. Yes.
And you know what drugs are themselves. Okay.
Yes.
So imagine two individuals break into someone's house. Not one, two.
Okay.
They're both high off their asses on heroin and cocaine.
Oh, I know where he's going with this.
Now, have you ever seen body cam footage from police officers?
Yeah.
Okay. When someone is not only going off of adrenaline, but is high as hell on cocaine or heroin, they do not go down with 1 to 2 shots. They can get shot in the face, in the stomach, in the side, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. They still don't go down because of the adrenaline rushing and because of the fucking drugs they're on. Now imagine if there was more than one individual who broke into your house and was like that. What do you think a fucking pistol with 8 freaking rounds in a magazine is going to do?
Well, I mean,
and another thing too, you got to take into consideration with this. When someone knows that there's someone breaking into their house, you can imagine anxiety levels are going through the roof. And when they come face to face with that person who's breaking into their house, they don't have time to aim, make sure their aim is right, make sure that they're going to aim for the head, aim for the stomach, because 1, their hands are already shaky because of the anxiety, and 2, they have a split-second reaction, possibly, to react, because these people, as soon as they see the homeowner, they could jump them, they could attack them. So, in that scenario, who do you think is more likely has a chance to survive? Someone who has a pistol with only 10 rounds, or someone who has an assault rifle with 30 rounds?
you could say this. Well, okay, I'm gonna fight you on this one. So you can basically say the same thing about an assault rifle with someone having anxiety, because an assault rifle basically is a more pushback when you fire. Would you agree?
No.
Would you more kickback fire?
No. Have you ever shot a gun before?
I have never shot a gun.
Okay,
before.
let me explain something to you. An assault rifle, an AR, AK are probably the easiest guns to shoot because the weight of the weapon.
Over a pistol?
Okay, I'm gonna show you this. Ready? When you shoot an assault rifle.
He goes, I'm gonna show you this. You just
Okay, so for those who aren't watching this, just if you've shot a gun before, if you're listening to this, just follow me here. And for those who are watching, I'm gonna show you this right now. When you shoot an assault rifle, you put the butt to your shoulder like this. You hold it back. You aim. You fire. I'm gonna show you what happens when you shoot it. There's barely no kickback because of how you're pressing it against your shoulder, because of the way you're holding the gun, the weight of the weapon, compared to a pistol where you're only holding it with your hands like this. When you shoot, that thing goes.
But see, if I were to see a pistol and an AK right in front of me, and I had the choice to use one, and if someone's coming in the house, if I were to get an AK, AKs are heavier. Would you agree?
Than a pistol, yes.
And,
not heavy weapons, but
and
overall. But
they have a little bit more of a more sway, wouldn't you say, because of the weight? Now, if I were to just grab the pistol, that's quick.
Okay.
Grabbing an AK, I have to.
Wait, so here's my question.
I have to do that.
Wait,
Okay, you're not picking up a fucking minigun. Picking up an assault rifle is not that much bigger than a pistol.
I know, but a pistol is lightweight.
Wait,
it is quicker. It's faster.
Okay,
than
I
an
agree.
So here's my question. Just to clarify, no fully auto weapons are allowed, right, in the United States?
Only people who are, I believe, okay, I'm not 100% sure on this. Again, I don't know everything about guns, but I believe people who are in the military or in law enforcement are allowed to have fully automatic weapons. Because remember, when they say they want to ban like assault weapons and stuff, they want to ban semi-automatic rifles. Semi-automatic is single fire, boom, 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 boom. They think that they're full auto. They're not. An AR naturally is not a fully automatic weapon. It's a single fire, boom, 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 boom.
I know that.
So, but people in Congress, these people, mostly Democrats who live in gated communities, who have armed security officers who have never shot a gun before and know nothing about them, want to take those away. Again, listen, I'm sorry, you're not going to win this debate, bro. I will fight you till the death about this gun, but please continue on with your perspective.
So then would you say the same thing for a shotgun? Because I personally think a shotgun's overkill over an assault rifle and a pistol.
Well, I mean, okay, it does more damage, but you got to understand it's a pump. Most shotguns are pump.
Yeah, but that would.
I wouldn't say it's overkill, but I will say with a shotgun,
like it's too much.
I wouldn't say too much, but I will say with a shotgun, you do have to be careful if you are shooting it, if someone is breaking into your home, because again, if you're using especially a buckshot, that thing is gonna explode that individual. That thing is gonna go poof. So you have to take into consideration not only the person, but you have to take into consideration what's behind them. Like let's say you live in an apartment like me, someone is in my room and they're facing the wall. Oh no, they're facing me, but their back's to the wall. And if I shoot them and that bullet goes right through the wall and hits the person in the next apartment, I can be responsible for that. So you have to be very careful with a shotgun. Do I think it's overkill? You could put that up for debate. Do I think it should be banned? No.
But you just said that could happen though.
Well, that's why I said you have to be more careful with a shotgun.
So what happens if? So let's say that could happen though. and like you do shoot someone, and you shoot someone else.
Well, that's why we have gun safety. You got to make sure that it doesn't happen, because you can't just use the same protocol of gun safety when it comes to different.
So then you can say
Wait, so okay.
No, what I'm saying is like when it comes to gun safety, there are different rules and steps to follow when you're shooting a gun. Like for example, for an AR, you should still take into consideration what's behind them. You also have to take into consideration.
But you're
how
not
to
thinking
hold
of
a gun.
that when you with anxiety levels. You're not thinking of that.
No.
Okay, let me interject.
I get okay.
So for gun safety, how about a better answer for gun control is we have, you probably won't like this, but we have gun safety courses, unless they already do those. But like if you want to buy a gun,
that is the perfect thing, Miguel. That's what everyone, I think anyone who is big into the Second Amendment or loves guns has been fighting for all this time, to say, listen, we want people to understand how a gun works, because you got to understand a gun is a tool.
So then how about before buying a gun, you probably won't like this part, you go through a gun safety course, you go during that time you get background check, you get all the forms, and you're learning about gun safety at the same time.
If you don't have that, then you can't own a gun.
And then you are also psychologically examined at the same time.
Yes, I believe that people should. I was thinking of that because
I know I'm not gonna win this argument. Like, okay, you want to keep your gun, whatever. I can't control that. So at some extent, at least some safety, some psychological exam, a lot of background check. You know.
Because
okay, so all right, so I'll break that down. One with the what did you say before the psychological exam? You said gun safety.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that 100%. I believe anyone who wants to buy a gun should definitely learn about gun safety, but I don't think you should restrict them to saying, if you don't have gun safety, you can't buy this gun. Because a lot of times people will buy a gun and say, oh crap, how do I use this? Then they should be given the right to gun safety. But I do understand where you're coming from. I do think that everyone should be given the opportunity and should be given a lesson on gun safety, how to use a gun. Because when it comes to having a gun, shooting a gun, holding a gun, there's rules you have to follow. 1, always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Even if you know it's on safety, even if you know there's not one in the chamber, even if you know there's not a magazine.
So here's my question. So how would a person buying a gun for the first time ever, not knowing gun safety, know that afterwards? Like, so
no, I'm saying like a lot of people buy a gun and they'll be like, because sometimes people just want to buy a gun because of stuff that's going on in the world, and they may not take the time to understand gun safety. And now that I think that I do think is dangerous.
Yeah,
I do think people 100% should learn everything about gun safety, because again, while a gun is a tool, if you don't know how to use it, see, a gun is the most dangerous when it's in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to use it. You guys know what negligent discharges are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when someone is negligent and they actually fire off a round. That could kill someone. That's killed people in the military, in law enforcement, at gun ranges. That has killed people before. So, and that person wasn't taught enough about gun safety. So I do agree with that 100%, but I don't think they should be restricted to buying a gun if they don't learn it. I definitely think we should heavily emphasize on it, though. Second,
so then how about
with the psychological evaluation, we had this discussion earlier. Again, I do agree that psychopaths, people who want to do harm, shouldn't own weapons. I think any sane person can agree with that. Mm-hmm. But the question is, how do you do it?
Well,
that's for psychologists.
That's psychology. We're not psychologists, but like
right, but
basically anyone who is
okay.
Basically, if to determine if you're a psychopath, if you're not in the right, you need to know what is right from wrong. Right. And so I do believe that I don't know if we discussed this in criminal justice a lot, but I do remember we did talk about this a little bit. And I do know for a fact that there are tests out there that determine if you are schizophrenic, if you are, if you have psychosis, if you have like all these like different like the psycho mumbo jumbo in your head.
Right.
Like I mean like for me like obviously it's not the same thing, but like me with ADHD, I have to have gone through some sort of test to know if I have ADHD or ADD.
Here's what I was gonna say. Like, how do you know if someone should be in a mental hospital or not? They go through exams.
But another thing too, here's the reason why I'm a little iffy about psychological evaluations. If a psychopath and a person who means to do harm wants to obtain a weapon to kill people, if he's a sociopath, he's going to do it. Because let's say the psychological evaluation is you talk to someone or you fill out some sort of written exam, you can easily lie on that. If you're a true sociopath and you want to kill people, do you ever have thoughts of suicide? No. Do you ever have thoughts of killing people? No. Let's say they do it like that. They do a written examination like that. if you were to obtain a weapon, please write in this line, what would you do with it? Protect my safety. They would just say what they would want the psychologist would want to hear.
Okay, so then it's the psychological exam shouldn't be a written test, whatever. Let's say it's the perfect test or whatever to examine someone for like their mental stability or whatever.
Right.
And let's say there's a few sociopaths that do get through. At least it's still a filter.
Right.
So it doesn't work entirely, but it works. It works
to some degree.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's say like that, and that person were to go out on a killing spree, and then like they'd be like, oh, he kind of he did this, he said this. I also do believe that.
Wait, just really quickly before you go on, if someone were to go through a psych val and they still went on a mass shooting, people would start protesting saying, oh, psych vals don't work, we need something greater now. And then with that, they're going to say we just need to ban guns.
Well,
that's the thing, though. That's the thing I'm afraid of. Now, again, I understand where both of you are coming from, and I'm not arguing with you there. I do agree that some sort of psychological evaluation should be made. But again, it's just, how do we do it?
I also do think that psycho evaluation shouldn't be also on a written test. I do believe actually some doctors do this. Is also like, I'm gonna use not big words, but like brain, like they literally like hook you up to a machine, but like they'll like put like like little things in your head, and they'll put you to a machine. And sometimes what they'll do is you're being shown an image, and your brain waves from the other side are gonna be seeing it. So let's say the brain waves. The image shown is like a sheep, and there's nothing, and then there's a bloody body, and my brainwaves go through, and they go
right.
But wouldn't
hide that.
Wouldn't that go for anyone else though? Because like I feel like that would be the same reaction for literally anyone.
Well, see if it's a psychopath though,
their brainwaves wouldn't go.
It wouldn't bother them.
And I actually think that's how they determine the brainwaves of a serial killer. Because if you look at the psychological evaluation of a normal brain compared to a serial killer's brain, there's a lot less brainwaves. It's a lot like. Like when there's a lot of like brain activity in an individual's head, I'll have like that yellow and red color.
Sure.
In like a photo.
Sure, he doesn't know.
Well, there is, but then compare that to a serial killer's brain or a psychopath's brain. There's not much activity. So
then maybe that's the perfect.
If they do implement that, I don't know. I do know they do it for psycho evaluation. They do it for to understand. They do tests, but if let's say in the near future that they were to do that, if you wanted to own a gun. You would be able to do that. And if they weren't sure on the test, or if you needed to be more on the test, they would also put you through that machine.
So then more filters.
Do you think that would be okay?
I do. But again, I'm going to go back to
God.
but.
He likes butts.
Listen,
You can let him. You can let him.
I agree. But now you have to take into consideration expenses. That is a very good and very high-tech thing, the way with the brainwaves, showing an image, or just doing some sort of evaluation with some sort of machine. I think that's great. But do you really think our government is going to want to spend all that money to do that? Or do you think the people in power would say, that's too much money, let's just start banning guns?
They would ban guns. I 100% agree the government would. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with saying, well, we should ban guns. Obviously because of expenses. But at this point, United States is in a shitter hole with 19 trillion in debt or more. Let's just rank it up more. Come on, guys. Who's with me?
So,
I mean, what?
Well, so with that, and again, I agree. I think this should be great. But you have to understand, especially nowadays with protests and riots still happening, more people are wanting to buy a gun. So if they were to instill that psychological evaluation, that would take a lot of time, and that would be very expensive for the government to pay for. But now if they could find a cheaper ulterior motive but still get the same results, I think they should do that.
So this is what I want to lead into. I feel like if you wanted to own a gun, if you want to own a concealed or like a pistol, a shotgun, a hunting rifle, that's fine. If you wanted to own a semi-automatic, I feel like you should go through a psychological.
No, I would say the same thing for a shotgun.
Semi-auto is single fire.
Okay.
So semi-auto is basically
AK.
a semi.
Still are.
Yeah, there's no
bigger guns. Bigger guns, you have to go through
You're
psychological.
talking about like an M16, which can be a fully automatic, which is what they use in the military.
Let me rephrase.
I've been playing too much Modern Warfare.
Yeah, you need a riot shield. He's on his right.
Aren't you trying to get your knife platinum?
No, he's getting riot shield.
Oh, that's right.
I'm working on both.
But no, pistols. I would say if you wanted to own a pistol, a hunting rifle, I feel like you should, go through a little short form sheet, safety lessons, obtain the gun, and bada bing, bada boom. If you wanted to own more firepower, you need to do a psychological evaluation.
Well, I mean, I think if we're going to instill a psychological evaluation, I think we should just instill it for no matter what kind of gun you
Yeah,
get.
I agree as well.
Because it doesn't matter how big of a gun or how little of a gun it is, because at the end of the day, if someone who has malicious intent has it, they're still going to cause a lot of damage. For
I
example,
know.
the shooting at Virginia Tech in 2007, the guy only had 2 pistols. And he killed he killed more than at least 15 people. So it doesn't matter what gun you have. If you have malicious intent, you're going to cause damage. I think if you're going to instill a psychological evaluation, it's just be for any gun.
So then I have a semi solution to your problem. So you're saying, oh, the government's not going to pay for it. Then how about a first a first filter, I should say, and then if you want to buy more guns, then a second filter, and at that point you're already spending more money on guns. So wouldn't you rather spend more money on the psychological exam as well?
I understand. I guess you can say that because you're basically saying like
a first filter for.
So would you say the psychological evaluation would be in phases? Like there'd be one.
Yeah.
And
So
then after
let's say if you fail the first one, then you go on to the second one. And then if you pass the first one, then you pass the first one, and then you're also.
Oh, I see what you mean. So if you fail a certain amount, then you can't. Okay, well then. Then that whole process would just be considered one psych eval. But I get what you're saying too. Like one psych eval, if you fail, all right, we'll move on to the
phase
next
two.
one. Phase 2. It's kind of like how, if they determine if you have some kind of mental illness, I think like they have like a number sheet where like if you have this many points out of 10, you have this certain disability.
Yeah, some things
don't
they
do
that
something
too.
like that with ADHD or.
I mean, I don't remember how the fuck they determined. I think I just went into the doctor's office when I was 9 years old. They looked at me and they go, "Yeah, there's something wrong with that."
They saw your little brother. They said, "Whoa."
Bruh.
But no, I do believe that people who want to own more firepower should go through more phases. Should go through more those psychological. Phases.
So let's say you want to own a hunting rifle or a pistol. Like, okay, take the first psychological exam. You pass it, whatever.
Good job. Get your lessons.
You want to own more, then you go through the second phase.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like the more guns you own, the more psychological evaluation.
To an extent, you don't have I
mean, if you start owning I want to buy 12 different gauges, and I go, now hold on a second, sir. Now, we have some questions.
Well, okay, with people owning a lot of guns, it doesn't matter how many guns someone owns. You only have 2 hands. So you can only hold a certain amount of weaponry and ammunition.
Where I'm trying to come from is what else do you need besides a hunting rifle or a pistol? I get it for fun, and at that point, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you're gonna.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to watch out for the people who do want to own more guns. Because I vaguely remember the Las Vegas shooter having like.
Oh, he had a bag. He had a bag full of guns.
Well, yeah, okay.
So let's say I go into your house, and I see in a couple of years a shotgun, a pistol, maybe a hunting rifle.
It's just a safety measure.
And then
at that point, no, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let's say I walk into your room and I see a gun or 2 handguns, a shotgun, maybe another one, and then I see a hunting rifle. I go, okay, he's a gun guy. I know my uncle is. I know he has a few guns. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I go into your room and there's a whole rack fulls, and I go,
what's wrong with that?
See, I would be a little concerned. I'd be like, why?
Remember,
why?
Okay, so all right, if you want to use that
unless
analogy,
you're military, unless you're a veteran, unless you're in the police, I don't understand it. But if you're a regular civil person and you have racks and racks of guns, I would want to evaluate you. And someone why does he have all?
You can be a collector. People collect guns.
That is true.
My friend Matt from Smithfield, he likes to collect old World War II Vietnam weapons.
I'll admit, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Those are cool.
Wait, hold on. Let me say this real quick. Do you want to know why he does that? He likes to reserve a part of history to make sure it never gets lost.
That's perfectly fine.
And realistically, you're not going to shoot someone with an M1 Garand.
No, dude, that's going to shoot the neighbor next down the street.
But that's the thing, though. If you have all these old guns, I'm fine with that. That's cool. You collect all these guns and stuff like that.
I think he's talking about modern guns.
Modern guns.
I know what you're talking about.
If I were to see a freaking cannon from the Pirates of the Caribbean ages in your room, I'd be like, oh, so he likes cannons.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. But if I see the newest high tech of an AK-47U from the Infinite Warfare, I'm gonna be like, now hold on a second.
I don't see anything wrong with that. When it comes to that, you have to take into consideration not how many guns the person owns, but the person himself. Does he seem off, or does he seem completely normal?
And at that point, then you would go to the second.
But yeah, but let's say let's say then he seems off, and then
Which is why I think, like, for the first few guns, if you pass the first one, fine. But if you
that's fine. But if you want to own a few bit more
and at that
guns, I
point,
think you
you're
need to go
paying
through
for
more.
the second
Yeah.
exam and the guns, and then
Because-
that way it funds. Because if you want to have more,
Because guns are fucking expensive.
Okay, now let's go back to this. If you want to have all these psychological evaluations that each cost money for the individual,
well,
lower class income people, you got to remember those, because those people, if anything, need it the most. Those people who live in poverty-stricken areas, they need it the most to protect their families.
So then the first one wouldn't cost as much, but if you fail the first one, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, I guess
So like
we'll
let's say
agree to disagree
let's
there.
say you're a person, you don't think you're psychopathic, but you fail all the psycho things. You fail all the tests. Do you think that person should be given a third or fourth chance to own a gun, or do you think if they fail all that, they should own a gun?
Okay, if they instill a realistic and reliable psych eval, if you're not a psychopath, you're not a psychopath. You're not going to fail that. How are you going to fail that unless you're actually nuts?
So like let's say you fail it.
Okay.
That'd be funny. Imagine Nicky fails it. He just sees like a bloody. He goes. Eh.
I probably would.
Miguel would be like,
Well,
I would be like,
I'd
Miguel.
Okay, well, hold on. Okay, if someone sees guts and like they don't get like uncomfortable, that doesn't necessarily mean they're crazy.
Well,
because some
it's
people
brainwaves. So like you on the guts see in movies, it doesn't bother me, but brainwave wise, you'll see a little spike. It, like not a little. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that
I know less.
So like certain images will trigger different emotions, and if you do not show those emotions, like let's say, especially a dead dog. If I do know like a dead animal, I do know if they show a dead animal, you show no emotion whatsoever, they're gonna be like red flag,
Right.
Like you're gonna be like, oh, Racky, like a dead Scooby Doo, like right there.
All right, I can see where you're coming from.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's how definitely they do it. Not for everyone, but I do know that some psych
Okay,
evaluations.
so we've been talking this for a while. How about
Yeah.
we just end it where there needs to be some sort of psych eval, however they do it. We're not controlled the fucking government anyways.
Right.
But
we should bring this to.
I
Gino.
don't.
Let's run knock on our Warwick home. Like, Gino, we have some news.
So we need some type of evaluation, however they do it.
Some
we need.
type.
We need. I wouldn't mind
lessons.
the safety courses and maybe an incentive if you do it.
Oh, I'm all for that.
And then if you don't do it, then whatever, you still got a gun, but maybe an incentive if you do it, like maybe like a 10% off. I don't know.
Right.
But
Sign up now. If you pass, you get 10% off your first gauge shotgun.
Black Friday's deal.
Buy two, get one free.
so I don't know, something like that. But
So yeah, listen. Again, I'm all for gun safety courses,
Right, so-
but I just don't think we should be stricken the people. Like if you don't do this, you can't get a gun. But I do think we should heavily emphasize it. So yes.
So speaking of should we refrain from this topic? Should we
Yeah. I feel like that was a
so-
really good.
so
good discussion.
So speaking of multiple topics and multiple guns, multiple movies. We'll talk about this in the movies section, especially with DC if you want to talk about it. But Netflix, I have some strange questions for Netflix, but they're releasing over 70 movies
I heard
once
about that.
each week
At least
in
one.
2021. Now, for me, that just seems like okay. So that's kind of cool. We get a new movie each week. They're probably not all going to be good. I know that for a fact.
All I saw was The Rock and Eric Andre, so I'm kind of interested.
And then there was Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which has been very heavily anticipated. So then there's over 70 movies, a fuck ton of movies,
I think it's like 72,
something like that.
74.
Something like that. I see this as a bad thing, and I see this as a movie person who likes movies and who likes new things. I watch it only if it's good. If it's gonna be shit, I'm not gonna watch it. But I think it's just Netflix, just because of COVID, especially. So most of these movies, I want to guess, were supposed to be in theaters, and then a lot of them Netflix just got the rights to, and then are going to upload them, put them on the streaming service. Now, that loses a lot of money for theaters once they do reopen, because I do believe theaters should reopen by fall winter. Because by then the vaccine hopefully will roll out. Not everyone gets the vaccine, but most people right now. I think
most people who need it.
I think over 30,000 people around have had the vaccine.
Oh really?
And I actually was looking at this. We haven't talked about COVID in a while, but the past last week and 2 weeks ago, 1,000 cases, 3,000 cases in the past 3 days. 1,000. The average was 1,000 per day. And the other day, it was only 500 or 600. So what we're doing is, I think that was the Christmas and the holiday stuff, and now we're getting back to mellowing it out. So we're kind of hopefully by then, by the summer, hopefully like people say that hopefully by like 25 to, I think it was like 25 to 45% of the population should have the vaccine at least by summer, at least, which is a good thing. But anyways, so like,
Is that federal? Like national?
I think that was just in the United States.
Okay.
But that's for people who are going to take it. Now, side talk, the nurses who don't want to take the vaccine, because there are some, and my mom has told me about them, you are all idiots. But side point. So anyways, the movies that are releasing on Netflix, I think it's not a very good idea because if once movies do open in movie theaters do open up and those movies were going to go into theaters, it's not going to do well for the movie theaters. It's not going to do well for box office. Now, I don't know how box office works now because of streaming services. I don't know if streaming services, fan out some of the money. I don't know exactly. But especially with the HBO Max stuff. But 70 movies in once a week, I feel like that's just Netflix saying, okay, if you want to watch all these movies, you're going to have to pay for the subscription. They recently upped their subscription. I think it's now $18 a month. It was originally, I remember the good old days when like $10 a month, but like
$7
now
a month.
But now it's like $18 a month now.
I had it when it was like 10.
But now like, and also like, Peacock did that, like the NBC streaming service. They took off Office from Netflix, and now Peacock has it, and Peacock is free for the first 2 seasons. You want to watch the rest, you gotta pay
For the
It's-
Office.
Oh, wait, do you have to pay for each individual season?
No. So the first 2 seasons are free on Peacock. If you want to watch the rest, you gotta pay. Now that is.
But I'm talking about like for Peacock. Is there like a monthly subscription you have to pay for Peacock?
No,
in general,
so
or you have to pay for each show?
I can download it right now. I can watch a few things for free, but if I want to watch like a lot more things, I'd have to buy it. But really, like if you want to watch the cooler stuff and the better stuff, you're gonna have to pay, which I think is stupid. But I think it's Netflix's way of saying, okay, you want to watch all these movies, you gotta pay us. And it's also like, it's not a very good look for movie theaters, because I do know for a fact that at least a half of those movies were originally supposed to be in movie theaters, because Netflix did not say, all right, we're going to make 70 movies this year. Most of those movies were from COVID or being in the production during COVID. So it's not a good look for movies because it's not going to do well for movie theaters. Drive-ins are going to be fine, I think, but movie theaters, if they don't do something soon, they're screwed. And I love the movie theaters.
They need to lower their prices for concession stands too. The popcorn should not be $7-8.
I used to work at Showcase Cinemas. They usually like up their prices like by $1.25 like every few months. They're going back down, bro. Because when I started, a dollar was like a ticket was like $10, and then when I left, it was like $13, $14, $25 or some shit like that. Yeah,
I know. I like Cinema World. It only upped a little bit. Like now it was like $6 or $7. Now it's like only like $8 or $9. So it's not like it's a big difference, but
Right.
But yeah, so
they're gonna go back down for prices.
Yeah, they're gonna have to, and especially like I do, like drive-ins are gonna. I know for a fact that
they're upping their prices.
Well, I mean, drive-ins, like I know the Rustic Drive-In on Route 44. That's always been like $20 per car, but you can have as many people in the car as possible. So like I could like fit like if I really wanted to fit like squish like 7 people in my car, it's only $23. That's actually a really good deal, and you get to see up to 2 movies. So drive-ins are fine, and I know that for a fact that if drive-ins are smart, they're going to open up earlier this year because they usually open up in like April, but they'll probably open up in
as soon as it stops snowing.
Yeah. But do you want to talk about DC and how it's a shit show?
Oh, so
See, I don't know much about this.
I do
so
know a little
basically
bit.
what happened, did you ever see the Justice League movie?
Don't.
No.
No? Okay, so the actor that played Cyborg, basically he's saying how he was treated very poorly and how there was like a lot of racism involved during the set. Mm-hmm. And so the director, I forget his name, but
For which Justice League?
no.
Well, because Zack Snyder, because Ray Fisher said he'll work with Zack Snyder.
Yeah, but
it's Joss Whedon that took over.
Who's the director for The Flash? Do you happen to know?
I can
Okay, so whatever happens is that there's a director that does not, well, I should say Reed Fisher doesn't want to work with him because he's being a racist prick.
The director is Andy Muschietti?
No, that's not him. I don't think that's his name.
Oh.
But basically, he was treated very poorly, and he's not playing Cyborg anymore because of the racism on the set, and they have done nothing to help him out. Mm-hmm. So That's just a little thing as to why the DCEU sucks. Because
did he say specifically like what kind of racism? Like would they like?
I think it was something like I don't remember if it was pay wise or if it was like he was just being mistreated differently.
he was being mistreated.
so,
But like was
they,
it
like,
was it
they were
Justice
nicer to
League?
the
I
other
think
actors,
it
but
was
not him?
the producer. I feel
it was a producer or director. I don't remember.
because I
his
think
name,
once
but-
because he said that he'll work with Zack Snyder, who originally did Justice League, but then he kind of got out because his daughter sadly committed suicide. So he took Joss Whedon, the guy who made the Avengers, took over and like literally did 75% of a new movie. And that's why HBO Max is releasing Zack Snyder's cut, which he actually filmed more for, which is basically like 4 fucking hours. But like I think like it's a producer. No. I know what it is. It's the head of DCEU. It's an Asian dude. I don't know his name. Hold on. Head of DC
Minority discriminating against another minority?
DCU Ray Fisher. Hold on, we're just gonna. So DC Films head defended by Warner following. Okay, so it's the DCE head. So the dude who's like, it's basically like Kevin Feige of the DC.
Okay.
So he's basically saying like, he was, I guess he wanted to renew his contract, but the contract said something that he didn't want to do, and Fisher was like, he was like after Peter stated, like he would basically the head of DCU was like in the contract. Said something else, and then also on set he was being mistreated. Like he didn't get he didn't get what he wanted, the DCU head. So he was like, no, fuck Ray Fisher or something like that. But I do know that like it's stupid. Discrimination should not be in a workplace at all, no matter what workplace you're at.
I think he's a joke because he got Ben Affleck to quit playing Batman, bro.
That's big.
It's not that he
Yeah, I know.
he didn't get to quit. I don't know if that's he was a good Batman. The Ben Affleck's Batman was going to be was basically what Arkham Asylum is. Like people saw the script, I was like, holy shit.
Wait, so like,
because he was gonna direct and write it and star in it.
oh really?
Yes, Ben Affleck, and I was like literally, I don't remember what it was, but I remember like something about Arkham Asylum and Joker breaking out, and I was reading it, and I was like, that's basically what like Arkham Asylum is, and I was like,
I kind of wish they did
God.
that. Dude,
Everyone wished
Arkham
that-
Asylum I know is like kind of like the not the black sheep, but like the underdog of the Arkham series. That's a really
It is
good
a good
game. I mean,
game.
it's not as good as Arkham City, but that's a really good game, Arkham Asylum. Have you ever played it, Miguel?
I've played some of the Batman games, but I just
Arkham Asylum. They have the Return to Arkham deal on PlayStation. It's really good.
I think I got that at one point. I just
Yeah,
never got
so-
around to playing
But
it.
yeah, I do.
I-
Ben Affleck should have been given another chance. I mean, he's gonna give another chance in the Justice League Snyder cut. But I mean, like, I think it's also because he didn't want to do it because there was something with creativeness, and creative difference with the DCE head. I think. I don't know if it was because he was going way too dark or if it wasn't what Ben Affleck wanted. Because originally it was like, oh, Ben Affleck, oh, it's not what Ben Affleck wanted, or it was too much work for Ben Affleck. Now, directing, writing, and starring in a Batman movie, it's kind of a headache, I would think, because you have to get that script right, especially if you're a Batman and you're directing it. But I mean, I think it was also because it was too much work for him. He's on the a little bit of the older side. I mean, he's like he's 40, almost like 50 now. So I mean, for fuck's sake, Michael Keaton's playing Batman apparently, but I don't even know how the fuck they're
I just
doing.
think
I don't know how they're doing that.
the DCEU is a joke. They have like 3 good movies.
You still need to see Shazam.
I do, but I just think they failed.
I do think-
Dude, I feel like if it weren't for the Dark Knight or Christopher Nolan's Batman, I think they probably would have gone bankrupt. Because that's like those are the best DC movies. I'm sorry, you cannot argue with that. The Dark Knight is the best DC movie,
Bro, the Titans
and probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
the Teen Titans Go
Yes.
movie is the best DCEU.
Oh no, that movie, bro! And Stanley.
the fact that I'm not lying is kind of sad.
But Stanley was in that movie.
He's like, I don't care. This is DC. I still want a cameo.
Oh,
my
rest
God.
in peace, dog.
I think we should just go up to DC and be like, yo, we have a great movie, bro. They probably just be like, all right, go for it, because that's basically what they do. Now, I think James Gunn's Suicide Squad would be good though.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that'll be a
Because-
They're
because-
making a second one.
Well, no, it's like a
reboot.
remake. Like it's the dude who
Yeah.
made Guardians of the Galaxy, and I love Guardians of the
Okay.
Galaxy, so I do believe that will be good. Wonder Woman 1984 was and
I thought you liked it though.
it's good, but people are saying that it's utter shit. Like people are giving it 1 out of 10s. They're making it like they're bloating it. It's not a perfect movie. It's not a fantastic movie. It's not a terrible movie. Like, people are giving it 1 out of 10. That's basically the same rating as you're giving The fucking Room, with Tommy Wiseau. Like, you're saying the one... Like,
oh, hi, Mark.
Like, you're basically saying Wonder Woman 1984 is as bad as The Room, then you're a dumbass. Thank you.
Well, see, The Room is a cult classic.
How bad? Can you compare it to the Fantastic Four, the new one, or the?
Oh my God, I would watch Wonder Woman over and over again. Like,
that's how I rate things.
So what's it, like a 5 out of 10? You would say?
I do think now. See, I start doing things out of 100% now. I would give it a 61%. Wonder Woman 1984. It's good. I like the Steve Trevor stuff, and I like the vibrant colors and the stuff of Wonder Woman. And then there's just some stuff in there that I'm like, okay, you did that. Gal Gadot though, oh my goodness. Gal Gadot and Ivanka Trump should run for president.
Okay.
Madison Beer too as secretary.
Okay.
No, speaking. You know, it's a good DC movie. Willy's Wonderland. Coming out soon in 2021.
Oh my God!
Can we talk about that real quick, please?
Okay,
I said I wanted to talk about this.
Okay,
so you want to talk about it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, oh my God!
Right.
So I saw.
This is great.
I saw the trailer and I was like, why the fuck isn't he talking? And then I looked it up and he goes, Nicolas Cage barely talks in the movie, and I go, are you serious? Like, there's virtually no lines for Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage has made some very bad movies, but I think he's an excellent actor. And there's been recent movies. I had this streaming service called Shudder. It's basically like horror and thriller stuff. I didn't have it for long, but he had this movie called Mandy, and it's basically him. It's the weirdest movie ever. I didn't see all of it, but it's him in like. It's not much like LSD, but basically, it's basically as if you had LSD and you were watching a movie. It's basically the same thing.
Oh, so it's like an acid trip.
Oh my God! Literally, he's slashing shit, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I didn't watch all of it, but like, it's good that it's like. I don't know how
so
to
it's kind of like The Room where it's so good it's so
no,
bad it's good?
No, it's not bad. It's like, I think it has like a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
It's really good, but it's very weird. Like, if you
okay.
don't like weird movies, like out of the norm, weird fucking movies,
So
you will not like it.
It's a kind of like a Clockwork Orange weird or like American Beauty weird?
It's like Nicolas Cage weird. Like,
Okay.
that's how I can describe it.
Okay, so like the weird face kind of weird.
Not the bees! But no, like...
Sorry, go ahead.
But like, literally, like the animatronics, I was like, what? And I looked on IMDb. The IMDb trivia, it goes, this is not a Five Nights at Freddy's adaptation.
We didn't even explain what the movie was about. We kind of just were talking about Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
So basically,
I'm sorry.
Willy's Wonderland, okay, it stars Nicolas Cage, and like he said, in the trailer, he has like no lines whatsoever. He didn't say a single word. So in it, he's like a drifter, and his car like breaks down near this kind of Chuck E. Cheese like restaurant called
Five
Willy's
Freddy's.
Wonderland, which is they said this is not a FNAF adaptation, but it was heavily inspired.
Oh my God,
100%.
heavily.
They can't just say, "Oh, Chuck E. Cheese directly inspired us." No, dog, you were inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's.
Bro, they played
So,
that shit.
He runs into the owner, who looks like Doug Dimmadome. He has like this hat and he has like this suit and tie and like a mustache on. He's like, "Hi, I'm Doug Dimmadome. Always the Willy's
wanna Doug
Wonderland.
Dimmadome, would you like to go and fight-"
He says to me, he goes, "Listen, if you do some overnight janitorial work for me, I will help pay to get your car better." So, without saying a word, he agrees, and he becomes a janitor overnight. And these kids bump into him. They're saying, "No, don't fall for it. It's a trap. They're just trying to sacrifice you for some kind of ritual." And then the rest of the movie is just him beating the ever-loving shit out of the
this is
animatronics, and it
such-
unironically looks good.
This is such a Nicolas Cage movie because he also did something on Netflix. I still need to see this, or it hasn't come out yet. But it's basically Nicolas Cage explaining every single swear word. Like, it's him going through the books, like, fuck shit. Like, he explains where it came from, why it's used. It's literally him. There's also a movie that he's making, and I think he's playing himself. I don't know what movie it is, but it's Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage. And I don't know what movie it is or when it's coming out, but he literally is going to be playing Nicolas Cage.
So it's like a documentary, or?
No, it's a movie, but he's playing Nicolas Cage.
Oh, kind of like how... Okay, I see what you mean. All right.
That's
kind of cool.
Nicolas Cage has during between 2000, I want to say 5 and 2015, 16, or even the early 2000s, he was not making very good movies. But now he's making some weird fucking movies that are you can't deny that it's somewhat entertaining.
I promise you, this Willy's Wonderland movie, it's gonna be a national treasure.
I'm going to go see that with you. Oh my God, is it
You
coming out in
didn't
2021?
You didn't get what I said.
Wait, what?
I said this is gonna be a national treasure. This movie.
Yeah, he's gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, exactly. Willy's been holding the Declaration. Listen, after the Capitol storming, I think Nicolas Cage has the right idea, and it's not hard to do apparently.
Yo, I'm still waiting for National Treasure 3.
That did happen. Imagine National Treasure 3 is just a Capitol raid. Nicolas Cage was at the riot. What?
All right, I think that's it. This was a long.
This was a really good episode. I
Yeah.
think this is our best episode yet.
Yeah, because we
Interesting
were
discussion.
bickering about who's
Guns
shooting
for
who.
like
It wasn't
20
bickering.
minutes.
We were debating. That's.
So we're gonna-
I feel like debate is healthy as long as you're
So
professional.
we're going
about
to
it.
Bass Pro Shop now and getting one. Or?
We're going straight to their capital.
All right, so thank you guys for listening, watching.
Oh, you forgot about this cardboard door handle.
Cardboard door handle.
Elf come.
Shout out.
All right, thank you guys.
Hey,
for
Kenny,
listening.
you have to watch the whole thing now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ken, you have to watch the whole thing now. We said it so well.
All right, so
Thank you for watching.
listening.
We will leave all of our links once again in
And
the
if you are
description
listening
below.
to this on the toilet, Godspeed.
There's no better place to listen to this.
There is
to.
the better place to listen to
Because
this
they're
to.
synonymous. Toilet is shit. Where's shit? It works.
It really does work. Also, happy birthday, Kyle.
Happy birthday, Kyle.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday, Kyle.
Happy birthday.
Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one. Miguel, I can finally say this now. Closing words.
Cardboard door handle.